anyone's in my network or connected in, or anyone I invited. I can invite people and send them a quick notice if they're online that they can log on and see it.
Interesting.
So you could do the same thing with Mozambique pretty easily.
I apologize to those watching.
So, Blake, this is amazing. I actually have better sound now than I interviewed your dad, Ivan, which is pretty amazing, and it was sort of a Nick set up through a friend or a common friend.
Okay.
And your dad was pretty interesting, but I'd never not done my research before interviewing somebody. And now I'm doing your son, in which you have an interesting background in yourself, because
I don't know.
You definitely do. So tell me what it's like. First of all, your timeline.
Timeline.
Yeah, your timeline. We're talking about your timeline. We're going to start. What are you doing today? Tell us about what your business is today.
Okay. I didn't know like my parents had conception.
No.
I was born.
We're going to start. I
didn't know how far
you're in New York. What do you do in New York?
In New York. Excuse me.
I'll take that out actually.
I hope so, and the pops too.
I don't have my pop filter on. It's so nice to hear somebody say that.
It's fine. No, in regards to what I do in New York, I run a music agency. I work for a larger company called Chord Worldwide, but I run New York. I founded our New York office 3 years ago, and I now run North America for our business here, and we go out and brand international corporations with music and sound, and enable these brands in terms of how they communicate with their consumers, again, through a concise and consistent music strategy through their communications. So whether it's through a phone, broadcast television, computer, radio, whatever it is, as long as it's involving music and sound, we advise, consult, and execute their music strategy for them.
So how did you get in this industry? What's your background to be able to do what you do?
I don't really have a background to do what I do.
Well, you do. You went to USC. I know this.
I went to USC Film School. I graduated from the Cinematic Arts program after George Lucas donated a bunch of money and changed it from the film school to Cinematic Arts, which is sounds nicer that way. Actually.
Blake, we're going to start over.
Okay.
Because I did this. I've never done this before, but I didn't start my system.
We were recording.
No, we're recording here, but not here. So Blake.
Oh my gosh.
Blake, welcome to Timelines of Success. I wouldn't do this.
His voice changed. Did you notice that?
I wouldn't do this to your dad. I should have done this to your dad. But I can't believe it. I have never not started in 60 or 70 of these systems. Never not started the system I did on your dad's and on your. So welcome to Timeline of Success. So tell us what you do today. And I know we're in Laguna
timeline,
Beach.
Take two.
Yeah, he's giving. This is great.
Two,
and I know that Blake knows about pop filters and media. And so tell us what you do in New York. Not here in Laguna Beach, but in New York.
Laguna Beach, I get a tan and I.
You're on vacation, I think.
No, not really, actually. I'm working in LA for business, actually, working with some clients. But
just like your dad, I just asked your dad, and he said, I travel and work. And
he's always working. He's a busy guy.
He's a
very busy guy. So in New York, I run a music agency called Chord Worldwide. I work for a larger company out of London, but I founded our New York office 3 years ago with my business partner and chief creative, Marco Vitale, and we go out within North America for North American-based clients and create the global music strategies for companies and execute on how they make a sound. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, every brand makes a sound. So whether it's via broadcast with your television commercials or via your cell phone, your computer, radio, whatever it is, every brand makes a sound. And the idea behind it is your communications visually, meaning your logo visually, your typeface, your color scheme, your communications, it's a very visual medium, and it's very consistent, and that's how you deliver a very consistent message and a targeted message for a consumer within marketing and advertising from a brand perspective. And yet music and sound is very inconsistent, and it's not strategic. And so what we do, again, we help them. We go through all of their past usage of music and sound up to the current today, so timeline, I guess,
right,
for within a brand's lifespan. And then we help them. We help them understand who they are as a brand historically, and heritage-wise. And taking that sonic footprint, we're then able to position our clients for the 5 to 10 year future that they're going to be broadcasting their new communication strategy or message to consumers.
Wow! And I know that you're a listener of podcasts.
I love podcasts. I'm a big fan of WTF with Mark Maron. Won't do the full acronym spelling of that because it's not.
Can't because I'm rated G.
Yeah, no, I apologize. I'm a big fan of Ira Glass on This American Life. I love, hold on, let me put up my, Adam Carolla is amazing. Hold on, I'm going to pull up my phone. I've got all
That's good. And you got to get your dad into an Apple iPhone.
You know, that'll never happen.
Yeah, it will.
Happy Sad Confused is another big fan. Jay Moore, I'm a big fan. The Nerdist, I'm fans of. These are all my podcasts. Radiolab, WNYC, and Risk. So those are some of the few podcasts I listen to.
One of my missions is to get baby boomers, and baby boomers are 50 years old and up now, born after World War II, to start in consuming some technology. And the technology is changing so fast. That's good.
My father has an iPad.
That's good.
It's funny.
Does he use it?
It's kind of like in Zoolander when the files are inside the computer. If you know that movie reference, he's actually gotten really good. Actually, he's
That's good.
Because he, I don't know, he didn't really grow up with computers, so I totally get it. But it is funny watching your parents like use technology, or even when your little cousins are like, text me. It's like,
well, about how old are you?
I'm 30.
Okay, you're right there. You're at the.
Right there. You're on the precipice of
the iTunes
degrading life.
You were the early iTunes adapters.
I was definitely,
You know what an Apple ID is. You probably know your Apple ID.
I don't know. You know what the problem is with my Apple ID is? I know it, but I never can remember my password. And I think Apple at this point has refused to give me a new password.
Well, I can tell you a trick how to do that.
That would be a good trick. Yeah.
So
it would be good.
Well, that's good. I mean, it's really important to know that password because anytime you have an app.
Those the Russian hackers may get me.
The app.
Ooh, he's downloading Katy Perry twice again.
So anyway, the idea is that there's a split in generations because you have the people who catch on fast, the adapters, with the digital media, and digital media is coming to town right now as we speak.
Oh, it's here.
And I'm 57. I have to stop and think of my age.
You look good, Bill.
And
Bill, you look good.
So I appreciate that. So I know what
you're rock climbing Mount what tomorrow?
Whitney. I'm staging tomorrow.
I can't walk 2 flights of stairs without like inhaling too many times.
Well, I'll take you. We'll go up Whitney one of these days.
Do it slowly.
It's a long hike. So driving on.
Yeah.
Tell me, Blake, a little bit more about yourself and specifically who your clients are in your business.
Which clients can I talk about?
About what type? You don't have to say specifically.
I work in.
What type of clients?
We work in all different categories. I work a lot in healthcare.
Big corporate clients.
Very large corporate clients. International, large banks.
That's all you need to do. Generality.
Large oral care. You've definitely used one of my clients for your toothpaste.
Right.
Who else is out there?
And when you talk,
we work a lot with Nestle, a lot with Unilever brands. What else do we work in? I mean, we literally work in anyone who broadcasts or communicates to their clients with music and sound.
All right. So tell us,
we work with them.
Not most, but there's a lot of people that download off the computer still who aren't into podcasting, but most people listen to a podcast through a smartphone or something of that nature. So are your clients getting into the podcasting arena in digital media?
I'm assuming some of them are. I don't know about that media buy that they're doing specifically. In terms of obviously the understanding that they're on the internet.
Right.
Yes.
And sound, the new kind of sound, digital sound.
Yeah. No. I mean, we had a large banking client a while back, and we created and actually, if you listen to all the music on television, that's the melody, I guess.
Right.
In music and everything, what you can copyright or
their theme
song. It's there's lyric-based things. But also there's the melody, which is the part that you can hum or whistle. And that's really that's the part that we're in terms of when you're essentially creating these high concept jingles.
Right.
You're ultimately trying to create melodies that people can hum or whistle and recognize in the future based on frequency of communication. So I watch a commercial 2,000 times. I hear the same,
Can't get out of your mind.
Yeah, ba-da-da-da-da.
Right.
Those type of melodies or frequencies. Those are the things that you really are trying to achieve. I mean, we were watching football earlier. It's a great example, I think, of what I would do. I didn't work on this, but the tagline / jingle, "Nationwide is on your side." They had Peyton Manning in a commercial, taking that melody, the da 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 da, and they actually broke it down by the beginning of it, and he was like, "I'm driving a car," and then he goes through all these different things of his day, and he's on the couch watching highlights of his game, and he's like, and then it goes into "Nationwide is on your side." So the idea where an entire commercial's copy can actually be based on a melodic tagline is the definition of what my business tries to achieve every day. Is that in terms of communicating with notes and melody and music, and this melodic idea of communicating it not with words but actually with music.
Well, it sounds like a great
that
job.
idea.
It sounds like a great job. I mean,
it's a weird job.
And you're in New York.
Maybe my dad will listen to this and he'll understand what I do for a living.
That's good. This would be a good reason right now.
And
I'm going to try to figure out
if my father's
exactly
on your mailing list,
we'll definitely
maybe he can understand. He's like, what does Blake do?
This is good. Now I'm going to even figure out exactly what you do and how you got there. So tell me, what skill sets did you have to get to where you are? For example, you went to USC. You studied sound. You did film.
Yeah, I studied film. I went to film school. I left film school, started a website for a minute with this guy over here, Brian, and we did that for a little while. And then I ended up ultimately wanting to do something that was in regards to my major because my parents invested in college, and that was expensive.
USC is a very expensive school in Southern California.
Yeah, the sonic identity of USC would be ka-ching. If you could figure what that means.
Yeah, Stanford and USC are the two high-expensive private schools.
They're really
in
not.
California.
I think NYU is actually most expensive now. They're very proud of saying that too, which is weird. But all the people I meet at NYU now living in New York City. But yeah, and then I went to film. I was a producer for Discovery Channel programming. So we would fly around the world, and my job was to coordinate the film/production shoots of animals biting things on camera in slow motion. So whether it was a shark, a bear, a lion, a tiger, an elephant, a leopard, snakes, you name it, I've been around it, and we've filmed it, and they've bitten things, and I've had some near-death experiences doing these things, and grizzly bears, black bears, brown bears, you name it, I've seen it. And so I did that for several years, and I realized my personal network, i.e. your LinkedIn, mine was more animal-based and not really human-based. So I quickly realized it was a really fun job to go to Africa.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast.
It was cool.
And how do you get a job like that?
You don't work for a lot of money. You really get taken advantage of a little bit. No, it was through a friend of a friend. I got the interview, and I have obviously the background on what you would want to get hired for that job, but it was through a friend of a friend, and then I was able to get hired.
You make some connections with that job?
I did, yeah, and some of those people I made are some of my best friends because we literally went through hell and back filming TV shows and did 36-hour days, like we work for 36 hours straight and do stuff like that. So and then I left that, and then I went into the company I'm at now.
So that's good. That's your two moves. And then how did you get where you are today? I mean, how did you get into the business? How did you get hired?
Again, it was I met somebody at the production company who had a family friend looking for somebody for my skill set in terms of what I was really good at.
I can film animals that bite people.
That was not the skill set I was definitely advertising. It was really the skill set of producing.
Right.
So if there was something that you couldn't get for the production, I was always the guy that they would go to, and I was the one they would call in to say, like, hey, we have $200, we need an airplane. Can you make that happen? And so I was the guy I would call, and I could usually get what we needed to. Right. I'm a very good, I guess I would say, fast talker.
There's a lot to production, isn't there?
There is. I mean, there's obviously the skill of turning the camera on, filming. There's production. There's lighting. There's editing, color correction. There's so many different things. But then also there's the person that is doing all the negotiations and orchestrating of everything to work together. And that was really what my job was, and getting things and making things happen when you need them to happen in a very short amount of time. So,
of all those specialties, which one do you like the most, and which one do you like the least? The editing or the production?
I mean, in terms of television, editing is everything.
Yeah, it is. That's what they say.
I mean,
movies too.
In all media, editing is everything, because you could take something that's really not great, and you really didn't achieve or get what you needed. But editing, you can cheat it quite a bit. So editing really is the real magic. I don't have the patience for it, unfortunately. I like the big conceptual ideas, and doing the deal and selling it and getting it out the door and stuff like that.
Do you like I bet you like the production a bit, the actual production.
Production to me, I don't like very much. It's a bit like a circus. It's a lot of heavy lifting. Like, you're picking up equipment. You're moving cameras here.
You won't see that.
You're sitting there waiting for someone to get out of the trailer. I was actually just staying at my friend's house in Westwood, and they're filming a big crime drama show. And I was up early working, and 6 in the morning they turned his block into Boston, and it's incredible what they do. but you're also at the same time, it's just like, I don't want to be up at 6 in the morning on a
No,
random
it's hard
street
work.
in LA,
Hard
moving like props,
Yeah.
and picking large objects off a truck and putting them down, and then someone yelling, hit your mark, and then you're sitting there waiting for 5 hours to move the stuff back onto the truck, drive it to the next place. So again, it's all different things that people want.
Is that my phone doing
It
this?
is your phone, actually.
I'm bad.
No, it's fine.
I'm really bad. I'm supposed to turn all this off.
Well, we started with not recording, then we left the phone on.
I'm only two.
I wasn't going to say anything.
You know what? It's interesting.
Well, actually, read the text out. Maybe a good text.
Oh, yeah, it's Nick.
Let's
Big
do.
Nick.
Is it good?
Let's see. I'm upstairs. Call me or text me.
Can you text it back? We're on the air.
We're on the air. I think this is going to be like a different kind of format.
I'm sorry. I don't know what we're doing. I apologize. I hope you're not being annoyed with me right now.
No,
I'm actually like this every day. This is why my father's happy.
We are on the air. I'm too lazy to actually type this.
We did. Well, actually, Brian should get. He and I pitched a. We were this close to selling it. So I was at college. These guys were playing poker, and what is it? Texas Hold'em was really popular.
Right, it still is, as far as I know.
It is. Well, it is really popular, but like there was like the heyday.
Yeah, when they had
all the TV shows,
online poker,
and all the big
legal.
TV shows that were really hitting were like all the poker shows. So, myself, Brian, and my roommate at the time, who Carrie, we all got together and we're like, okay, this could be a great idea if we did Texas Hold'em poker for college kids. But they wouldn't play for money. They would actually play for like scholarships. Food for like a year.
Is a good idea.
You know what I mean? Like
Food
pizza for a year.
Like
you get free pizza, not alcohol, but like get your pizza, you get clothes. You could win great things.
You get sponsors.
And so it's like remember Jeopardy, and they do like rep your college. So it's like Cal versus Stanford versus Harvard.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we would. Yeah, and we would do that, and so the kids wear their sweaters or T-shirts representing their school, and they would play poker. And so we linked up with the guys at what was that show called? Celebrity Poker Showdown. Josh Molina and Andrew Hill Newman. Josh Molina, by the way, is actually kind of famous. He was on West Wing. Scandal. He's like a big actor. Like he was on a lot of the end of the West Wing, the later seasons. After what's his name? Who's the president? He left. Martin Sheen left, and then he got big because he went to college with what's his name? Who wrote Moneyball? And he went to school with Aaron Sorkin. And so Josh and Andrew, and so it's me, Brian, and Carrie. And we first meet them. We went to Factor's Deli, and we linked up to those guys because they were the EPs. If you look up, they're the EPs of Celebrity Poker Showdown on Bravo. It was their highest rated show at the time, next to Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. And we were like 19, 20 years old, all of us, and like we can't legally go to Vegas and gamble. And we link up with them through a friend of a friend, and he was a PA on the show. He's like, oh, I think they'll like it. They meet us. They're like, and they were really cool. They were, and I can only say great things. They really were nice, and they were super cool with us. And they're like, okay, this is great. Do you realize you guys are gonna be famous someday? This is gonna be really big. And we're like 19, 20. We're like, yes, that's great. Let's get a Reuben sandwich now. Because we're at Factor's, like, it's a great deli on Pico. And we go from there, and every other weekend, how many times? We were there like every other weekend. We were there a lot. We were there a lot. We were going to, they would record at the Palms Hotel, right when the Palms just opened. And it was super fun. And we would go watch them tape, and then we would go up to the Ghost Bar, which, like, again, we're not old enough to drink or be in a bar. And I don't really care. And he was old enough, I wasn't. And we would go up to the Ghost Bar and hang out with all these celebrities. And it's Celebrity Poker Showdown, so it's like, we go to the bathroom during, like, taping pauses, and it's like Chevy Chase. And you're hanging out with all these, like, weird, famous people. And it was cool. No one wanted to buy the show, unfortunately, because nobody wanted to see minors gambling in college. MTV specifically said, who is actually the woman who we met with is Les Moonves, and Les Moonves is the head of CBS. It was his daughter. We met with her, and she didn't like it specifically for the reason because of what's called the sponsorship issues, because they thought there would be a clash between, like, paying for a kid to eat pizza, but he was gambling to win.
So when did you figure that out, that it wasn't viable?
After about 5 to 10 meetings and going back and forth with people, you just realize there was no traction. And when you're kids, in this business. Nobody cares.
One of the lessons is look a minimally viable product to figure out what the problems are as you start before you put a lot into something.
Yeah, I mean, we were 19, 20, so it was a really fun idea, and we were running around hanging out with cool people, so that was fun. But I don't know. I think eventually, though, I think it's just demonstration. You know, we had a good idea. We found the right people to get it to. We formed a partnership and a pact with these guys who actually had the show that we would maybe make. You know, so I think it was a success in that sense that we were able to actually like locate where we wanted to or who we wanted to work with and find those right channels and pipelines into what we were trying to do for our concept. So I think it was pretty cool. But outside of that, yeah, you can always look back and learn from things. But it was a lot of fun.
How many kids by 19 are going to get to sit down and buy a comic?
Yeah, it was cool.
No, you learn a lot. Those are the connections
cool.
that pay off later. And what you're
they haven't. Those guys, we haven't paid off. Josh, Andrew, I wish you well. They were really cool. I think Andrew actually plays in like a super cool poker league still with like Hank Azaria and those guys. If you've seen.
Yeah, I've watched at times. Not lately. I've been so busy.
Yeah. Josh Milley and Hank Azaria. They have like a poker club.
About 8 years
It's like
ago.
all these old school like comedy guys come out, and it'd be kind of cool actually to be at that.
I played with them in Macaulay Culkin.
Oh yeah. Macaulay Culkin played.
Busted me.
Macaulay Culkin went to the Palms when we were there watching him tape, and he got knocked out of the TV show, but then he rotated just immediately next door to play at a real it's in a casino.
Right.
So he moved to the casino table right there. He didn't leave for 24 hours, 36 hours.
Wow.
He won a lot of money.
He stayed in the same chair for 36 hours.
He won?
He made a lot of money,
Wow.
but people would be like, Macaulay Culkin hasn't moved. He hasn't moved. He just kept playing all night and all day.
That's pretty amazing. So driving on in your timeline, it's 3 elements. So we finished up. You're in New York now. You're actually home. You're in Laguna for a few days.
This is technically
Mozambique.
home.
By the way, people hear some interesting noises. We're in the basement of Mozambique right now, which your dad owns, and it's a beautiful building. He's done a great job with the building.
It's cool. It's his passion.
Your dad's quite a unique guy. Have you ever been to South Africa?
I've been with him once. I've been to South Africa twice. Once for Discovery Channel, once with my dad.
Still have family in South Africa?
We have a few family members left there. Not too many.
Well, you're a Californian now.
I'm born and raised in California, but he's an immigrant. Yeah.
Started out in the Monterey area, and you're down.
Yep. Born and raised in Monterey Bay, Salinas, California specifically.
Right.
Lettuce capital of the world.
Yeah, the Salinas is beautiful. I almost went there instead of where I ended up in Central California.
I probably made a better decision. Salinas is great if you like lettuce.
That's close. The weather's good.
I love it there. I miss it.
Yeah, strawberries too, right?
You know, my mom's side of the family's up there, and some of my best friends and some amazing people.
Close to Monterey.
20 minutes away.
You're fairly
Laguna
close.
Seca, Santa Cruz, San Francisco, San Jose.
Silicon Valley, you're very close to.
It's an amazing
Which
area.
is San Jose.
Yeah,
Mountain View,
it's amazing area.
Cupertino.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, you can go over to Highway 17 over to
Hollister's right there.
All different areas. Yeah, it's nice.
Gilroy. It's a beautiful
So
area.
driving on, since I didn't brief you on the questions, we have 4 questions I ask every person.
I didn't know that.
Do you use a Mac or PC?
I use a Mac.
And what type of smartphone do you have?
I have a 5S iPhone.
Well, I expect you use a Mac, so that's good. So we don't have to go into detail why you use a Mac, but
No, I just prefer it.
Yeah,
but it's whatever. At this point, I think everything's kind of even at this point.
there's still a difference. You're going to pay twice as much for a Mac. I tell people who are starting out, like your dad, for example, I say, for your personal communication, stick with the Apple products because you have an Apple store with a great service right there.
Right.
I mean, it's just in the stability and durability of the equipment. So driving on, the next question is type of smartphone you have.
5S, Apple 5S.
So you said 5S, yeah. So it's all tied together.
Yes.
And any
And my
special?
computer's a MacBook Air.
Good. Any special applications you use?
On my phone or on my computer?
Anywhere.
You
You really like
on my phone.
your podcast app, right?
I use the podcast app because it comes with it, but I love podcasts. I like
Right.
there's a couple video games I play when I'm on the train in New York City in the subway board. But I use my subway app religiously. That helps a lot.
Is that a pass?
It's not a pass. It's actually like a map of all the trains
And
and
they're running?
which trains are delayed,
Oh,
which ones
nice.
are running, when you can get your train. It does. It ties into your Google Maps, so it actually.
Oh, that is nice.
So it maps the delays of the city with your Google Maps, and then Google Maps gives you your directions. If you
That's
need that.
too cool. I've never heard. That's good.
It's a great app. It's free. It's done by the city of New York City.
So what's it like to live in New York when you're from California?
There's definitely a difference. The weather's a lot different, which everyone will always say up front, but I'm having. It's probably in New York City. California's amazing, but New York City is probably the most fun I've ever had in my life.
It's a very expensive city to live in.
It's
I know
beyond
that.
expensive. Yeah, you look at your pocketbook at the end of every month, you're like, oh boy.
Yeah, very expensive.
We should cook some more at home. You have a restaurant like Mozambique around.
So a couple other things that you're not ready for, but I always go into detail is what is your favorite quote? You have a quote you like?
My favorite quote?
Yeah.
I have a few. Like I love 80s movies. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What is it? Life moves pretty fast if you don't stand around. If you don't stand to look around once in a while, you might just miss it. It's one of my favorites.
I like that one. Life moves pretty fast.
Yeah. If you don't
stand around.
Life moves pretty fast if you don't. I should probably just look it up.
If you're not editing, right?
Yeah, I'm not.
We'll look it up. See, I love this. You're pulling out your smartphone. You're looking it up. You got the details down.
Yeah, sure. No, it's one of my favorite movies. I got into movies. I went to film school because of 80s movies and John Hughes and all of his films that were like Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles. Just all those films. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, obviously. 1 second. Life moves pretty fast.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I always check the quotes and by who they're from when we do the editing.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Tell it to me one more time.
Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. So
Ferris Bueller?
That's Ferris Bueller. That's Matthew Broderick's line in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Really good.
Which is, I think, that was in my yearbook. I think that's my quote in my high school yearbook.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing is, what type of books do you like to read?
I love biographies.
Yeah, like your dad. Your dad's.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I really do.
Your dad.
I think it's kind of that's why I enjoy podcasts, because most podcasts I think are based on the idea of people talking about themselves, your timeline as you're putting it.
Right.
But yeah, I love biographies. Autobiographies I usually aren't very correct, because people can actually change their own story.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Did you read Jobs'
I read Jobs. Like Keith Richards' life. I read. One of my favorite biographies probably of all time was Sammy Davis Jr.'s.
Never read that one.
It's really amazing. It's cool. Which I think they're making into a movie. Denzel Washington's directing the Sammy Davis Jr. story. It's a really good book. It's probably one of my favorites. What else? I don't know. Celebrities are interesting. I love hearing celebrity stuff. Like actually, this is a ripoff from another podcast, but this is like my favorite celebrity story, and it's with Jack Nicholson and what's the other guy's name? This is off another. I'm literally telling a story from something I heard on a podcast, but it's my favorite celebrity story, and I'll end with this. I just got to look up the guy's name. He's from Arliss on HBO. He's a really famous comedian and comedy writer. Hold up 1 second. I hope he hears this someday and goes, "What a schmuck."
Do you want me to leave that in?
Oh yeah, it's fine. I only want him to think that, like, this kid's a schmuck.
Oh my.
Robert Wool, I think is his name. Well, hold up. I'm looking at IMDb. Yeah, Robert Wool. Who's an amazing comedy writer. He actually wrote all of the Oscar opening like jokes and one-liners and. My phone's talking. I
usually turn this off. But.
By what's his name? The most famous Oscar Academy Award-winning host of all time. I'm really bad with names, as you can tell. He's the best. Billy Crystal.
Oh, Billy Crystal.
He wrote. He's a really great comedy writer.
He hosts the Oscars.
Yeah. So Billy Crystal hosts all the Oscars. He would write for all of them. But he went on a podcast with Mark Maron, and he told the story about him and Jack Nicholson, because he and Jack Nicholson were doing what was it? They were doing the original Joker. And on the Joker film, he was talking about how crazy Jack Nicholson was and how fun he was, and they're sitting in this club, and Jack Nicholson in his mid-40s, and he's like the biggest actor in the world, and ultimately he's telling a story about how this beautiful woman / model comes up to Jack Nicholson, and they're sitting there in a club, and Jack Nicholson's smoking, and the girl comes up to him and says, "Would you like to dance?" And Robert's like looking at him like, okay, let's see what Jackie does, you know. And Jack Nicholson, I guess, and I'm probably botching the story, so I apologize. He takes an exhale of a cigarette and exhales in the girl's face, and goes, and as he exhales, goes, as Nicholson does, goes, "Wrong verb," and that was like the ending of like, but I don't know. That's my favorite celebrity story from a third-hand experience, but yeah.
Wow. So anyway, driving on. This is
Sorry.
this is this thing. So what we do is, when you're not working or in New York or traveling at work here,
Yeah.
or whatever you're doing, what do you like to do on your time off?
Spend time, probably hang out with friends or at the beach or with my family.
Good. The beach is wonderful. Laguna Beach specifically.
Laguna Beach is very pretty.
You're in Shangri-La right here.
It's
like
yeah.
York.
If there had never been a reality show called Laguna Beach on MTV, this would be a really, really amazing secret hideaway.
Yeah.
It's very famous now because of that show. But
Right.
outside of that, it's a beautiful place. It's great.
Right, and the hillside and all this, and so different from New York. I mean, the contrast is huge.
Complete opposite.
So different. I can't.
It's the complete opposite. It snows in New York. It never snows here.
I just can't. And it's just the personalities of the people, the different spirits.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah.
It's very good. So, and this is the takeaway. The most important question I said for those listening who might want to follow in your footprints and do some of the things that you've done. What do you recommend to them? What's the best takeaway for them?
I don't know.
Should they go to school
I
at
haven't
USC?
planned any. I honestly didn't know. No, you don't need. Definitely don't need to do that. It's really expensive. You go in debt.
So you should study sound.
I think if you
Production,
if you really want to
all
go
the
into
skills.
like music and sound or whatever, I'm more on the business side of these things now. But just to do it yourself. You know, if you really want to do it, you can get the equipment pretty much for nothing.
Yeah, but you know, it's still yes and no.
Listen, there's
you
always
can now.
there's always barriers, but you can get you can do a lot of stuff.
The world's changing.
Yeah, you can get a lot of stuff for next to nothing.
Since you graduated from USC, there's been tremendous change.
USC, they made a shoot on 16 millimeter. No longer do you have to do that.
Yeah, are they catching up?
Yeah, it's like, you know, eventually if you pay enough, they go, okay, we'll give you a 21st century education. It was one of those. I don't know. You kind of take your experiences what they come with, but yeah.
So where do you think the best place to go to school for learning how to shoot and learn the
your bedroom
medium in the bedroom?
You're
Just
literally
practice.
getting your own camera.
That's a good line. Just
doing it and figuring it out on your own, because it's not the people teaching you at film school are people that never made it.
Wow.
So there's a few guys obviously in there who are amazing, and I got a great education and it was great, but at the end of the day, it's the people teaching you are the guys that didn't practice enough and went to school. Maybe
you
they
said
made a
some
movie.
practice, and you said let's
you
do it.
You need to just go do it and do it on your own.
That's a good line. Good way to finish up.
Great.
Practice, work hard, just do it, and keep on doing it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Well, Blake, unfortunately, I think I messed up your dad's sound, which again, I don't think
I haven't heard it, so it's fine.
So I'm just telling you, I'm just guessing right now because I should have stopped with your dad. Your dad was really interesting, and
He's a cool guy.
Family,
He's a smart guy,
and you have a good way in front of you. So thanks for coming on. And
Thanks, man.
First of all, how can we get a hold of you? You got a website?
You can check out our company's website at I don't have my own, at Cord CORDWW.com. Cord Worldwide.
Do they have an email for you there?
Yeah, I probably won't give that out over the internet.
You should make up a Gmail account.
Yeah. You
Blake
can
at
go info@mozambique.com or it's at mozambiqueoc.com. Info@mozambiqueoc.com.
So they could pass it through Mozambique.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, one last question. I always ask last question.
Yeah, sure.
Your dad has, your dad really delegates well. I can tell that, and he trusts people very well. You've got a great website, and you're doing the streaming media at night, and the building's fantastic.
Yep.
Where did your dad pick up on the technology for the website and for the streaming media to get going? What were the influences?
I think it's him probably working with the right team members that he has.
He knows how to pick people.
Here. Yeah, and because he's not, again, like you said, delegating, so he's picked the right people to put something together that's kind of special and let them do what they do best, and hopefully it works out well. Or if they don't, then try somebody else. You know what I mean? It's all trial and error.
That's this interview may be all they get because I had the gain up way too hard.
That's really not
dad.
the best way of talking about Mozambique. I really hope that's not the only thing you're putting in there for that.
Was for Mozambique?
Yeah, no.
It's a wonderful place. Give us a commercial.
Oh no, Mozambique's amazing. I was saying that's the only snippet you have about Mozambique. I hope that you don't use that. That's the one I just gave.
Okay, I'll clean it up.
Thank you.
No, especially when you said that, it'll remind me to clean it up.
Thanks.
By the way, editing is the least thing I like.
Oh really? Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where you have to keep playing with it. But yeah, no. I guess I probably should say one last thing about Mozambique or something.
Yeah, say something good about Mozambique. Give us a commercial.
Because we don't have one. Mozambique.
But I forgot to tell you about pauses and stuff like that to make it easy for me to edit.
Yeah, got it. No, I'm sorry. Mozambique is a South African steakhouse and music entertainment experience based off Pacific Coast Highway here in South Laguna Beach, California. It is the idea of, in terms of, you look at the continent of Africa, and South Africa being at the tail end of the tip of the continent, and you have the culinary influence of India coming in from the right side if you're looking at the map, and then on the left side you have European cuisine. They merge together into this very amazing thing, or probably best represented by the spice called peri peri, and so, which is great with chicken or meat or fish and a lot of other things. And so my father's taken that idea and his family's recipes of cuisine, and which I grew up on.
I was going to ask us that from family recipes.
Yeah, I grew up on all this stuff. Peri peri was a big thing, and it was really funny when my family friends would come over and go, "What's your dad cooking?" I'm like, "Curry," which is weird because we're definitely not Indian, or the idea of like, "What's peri peri?" And I was like, "Oh, it's really spicy. It's amazing. It's like if Tabasco had heart, it would become the peri peri plant." And so, and that's and that is Mozambique. We have amazing live music here from Friday through Sunday. Some amazing live acts coming up, including the Blind Boys of Alabama, Booker T. Jones. We've had Macy Gray. We've had members of the Rolling Stones, members of The Who. It's just amazing people here, and they've built.
And we got to add Common Sense from Nicky Hernandez, Nick Eye.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my nephew.
Nick Eye 80. He's amazing. He's super cool. I'm a really big fan. He's really, really talented guy. I work in music, and Nick Eye is actually he's legit. He's super cool.
Been doing it his whole life.
He has, and he's amazing too, because he's like, I forgot what he does in day job. I don't want to say he's a fisherman, but he's
from Laguna Beach.
He's from Laguna Beach, born and raised, and so he comes and plays here, and he's a huge draw, and the locals love him, and everybody comes in from all over the place to see him. So it's really nice when you have my father's an immigrant, start a restaurant, and you have the local flavor of the music, and
everything blends together. And that's really what the West Coast, Laguna Beach, is all about.
It is. Yeah, it's nice. That's nice.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it very much. Really good interview. Really good interview. Good sound too.
Thanks.
Thanks, Blake.
Cheers. Thanks, Bill. Bye.
That was it. That came out well. You know how you talk about editing? That's one thing I do everything. I hate it.
It's tough.
See on here, this is behind. This is why I show people behind the scenes what it looks like. Unfortunately, your dad's